Welcome back to part 3 of Radical Lean Transformation. Once again, I'm Chris Turner, the Director of Training and Development for Radical Transformation. Let's go through the rest of this training. In this session, I'd like to talk about the 10-step model. The 10-step training and implementation model was designed and developed to demonstrate a better way of implementing lean, and so that people could better understand the steps that are involved in that. Now, the purpose of the 10-step model was to design a roadmap so that a management team would be able to follow this when implementing an integrated lean management system into their business. You can see the 10-step training and implementation model in detail at the bottom of this slide with the 10 steps. I'm going to explain each of these steps. I'm going to allow you to understand why the steps are in that specific order and the purpose behind that. First of all, I'd like to take you through this implementation roadmap. You can see that at the top of this roadmap, there are 3 phases. The first phase, if you go down into the central part of that, you can see that it's about training. And this is where we take the lean manufacturing change agents. This is the people that have been chosen within an organization to become change agents, the people that are really going to kind of blaze through and implement the lean system because they've been seen to be the right type of people, personalities, or whatever it is that you need to be able to have those people become the true change agents for the organization. We call this core team training, and the way we train these people is we put them through the Lean Expert Training, or the online Lean Training and Certification Program that Radical Transformation has available, and they would go through the level 1, the level 2, and the level 3 levels of training. Now, once they've been trained, we move into phase 2, and what happens is they become the coaches for the management team and also for the improvement teams as we start to integrate them into the improvement process. Now, the management teams don't necessarily need to go through all of the training, but they may just go through, some of them may go through lean awareness, level 1. Some of them may go through level 2. Very few of them are going to go into the level 3 lean facilitator training because they probably don't need that level of detail or expertise. They just need to understand the terminology and really how the tools fit together. The bottom training part is for the improvement teams, and this is where you take all the individual people that are going to participate in improvement teams and give them the basic training that they need to be able to participate effectively within those improvement teams. So they would go through level 1 lean awareness and level 2 lean practitioner. Now, out of those 2 training sessions, you will get 2 different things that will occur. One is process standard work will be designed and implemented, and from the management level there will be leader standard work. Now, I don't have the time to explain everything about those 2 processes, but they're critical. And what that does, it feeds into the 3rd phase, where we look at the 10-step model and the implementation of this model using the Plan, Do, Check, Act, or the Deming cycle, as most people would know it as too. Plan, Do, Check, Act, PDCA cycle. Once you've gone through all these processes, you're at the point where you're starting to look at a 4-phase system where we're starting to use insight, which is the metrics, to start to look at how your business is performing. You develop a strategy based on those metrics. You execute that strategy, and then once you've performed and done whatever it is you need to do through the execution process, you then evaluate the outcome of that. And you need coaching, you need implementing, and you need monitoring skills to be able to do all of that. So I'm going to come back to this later in the presentation, but I just wanted you to see this up front. So the first question in step 1 is, how do I start the process? Where do I start the process? When do I start the process? There are several questions that people start to ask when you say, do you want to implement lean? They don't know where to start. Step 1, strategy deployment, is about allowing the management team to define the company's destination and then to find the best route to reach that destination. if you think of step one as the management team really defining and creating an organization's GPS to show them the best way forward to reach their final destination as part of the strategy deployment or Hoshin-Conry process. So it's the organizational GPS. Step two raises a second question. Where is the current system not operating in the most cost-effective manner? And this is critical. This is important because step two is about value stream mapping. And what this allows you to do is identify the specific areas within the organization where the current system is not performing as it should. Step two requires the input from a team of employees who have knowledge of the current operating system within the organization. Step three brings up a third question, which is, where would we locate our items and how should we organize them in the work areas? Step three, which is workplace organization, helps to identify the frequency of use of different items and then to determine the best positions and where to locate them in the work area. Again, step three requires input from a team of employees who have a good working knowledge of the target work area. Step four raises a fourth question. How do I keep items moving through the process in a consistent manner? Step four, which is improve process flow, allows you to identify and analyze the root cause or causes of process constraints or bottlenecks as they're known. Step four requires the input from a team of employees who have a good working knowledge of the target work area. Step five raises a fifth question, which is, how do I reduce process downtime, that is, changeovers, stoppages, etc., to increase throughput? Step five, reduce process downtime, allows you to identify and analyze the root cause or causes of process downtime. These could be due to changeovers, it could be due to maintenance issues such as breakdowns, or even an information deficit, which is a limitation or the non-existence of information in order to allow an employee to perform their job in the most efficient way. Step five again requires the input of employees who have a good working knowledge of the target work area. Step six, a sixth question is raised here. How do I know when to deliver the right materials to the right work area at the right time? Seems like an obvious question, but you'd be surprised when you start to really break it down and look at what people do in order to get the materials to the work area. Do they do it at the right time? Is it too late? Is it too early? It's important to understand the answer to these questions. Step six, implement a pull system, allows you to effectively organize the delivery of materials into the work area, and then it also shows you how to move products from one work area to the next one. Step six requires input from a team of employees who again have a good working knowledge of the target work area. Now step seven raises a seventh question, which is, I've done all of these other steps. Now how do I balance the workload throughout each of the processes? Step seven, balance the workload, allows you to analyze the scheduling of the workload and align that with the work activities in each of the processes or operations. Step seven requires input from a team of employees who have good working knowledge of the target work area. Step eight, this is the eighth question. How do I maintain the same quality and the standard of work between all of my employees? Step eight is introduce standard work. Standard work allows you to identify the best practices and then shows you how to convert them into standard work and how to use standard work to help maintain the standard, but also to improve it when it's needed. Step eight requires input from a team of employees who have working knowledge of the target work area. Step 9. The 9th question is, how do I continue to improve the processes over time? Step 9 is continuous improvement, and this will introduce you to the next level of problem solving and improvement tools. A lot of people question why step 9 is at step 9 and not somewhere earlier, like step 2 or 3. The reason being is because as you go through the different steps, the organization is maturing in its thinking and its behavior. So if we introduced some of these tools early on, it would be too overwhelming because they don't have the internal capability to be able to deal with some of these issues or use the tools in the right way. So by step 9, the hope is that you've learned some things about your organization and your processes, and you'll be able to utilize the problem-solving improvement tools in a more effective way. Now, step 9 requires the input from a cross-functional team of employees. Now, some of these employees will have a good working knowledge of the target area, while some of them will have no knowledge of the work area. So the question is, why do we bring people into the team that don't know anything about the work area? Well, it's important to get people's perspective that don't know anything about it, because they will ask questions that people that think they know won't necessarily ask. In other words, as some people will put it, the people that don't know will ask the dumb questions, while the people that think they should know won't necessarily bring that up within the conversation. So you want the two perspectives to meet, where people think they know how things should be, and then people that don't know anything about it will ask those questions that will really tear the system apart and help people to look at it, break it down, and then rebuild it in the more effective way. Step 10, the 10th question, is how do I improve the delivery of parts and materials from my suppliers to allow me to improve our ability to deliver our products to our customers on time, every time? In step 10, lean supply chain, we introduce you to the interconnectivity between suppliers and customers. One of the key things that people need to understand, that any business can only supply their customers to the level that their suppliers can meet their demands. If your suppliers fail, then you fail. And that's one of the critical realizations within a lean organization that most organizations need to get to understand. And so we take you into a deep look at the lean supply chain. Step 10, again, like step 9, requires an input from a cross-functional team of employees. Some of them are going to have a good working knowledge of the target area, while some will have no knowledge. Again, you need those two different perspectives to be able to decide and to discuss and to figure out how to make things happen in the most effective way to meet the demands of the organization so they can meet the demands of the customers. Here we have a layout that shows the 10-step training and implementation model and how it all fits together. On the left-hand side of the slide, you can see the Plan, Do, Check, Act, or the PDCA, and then you can see how that relates to all of the different steps that have been laid out in the 10-step model. Step 1, strategy deployment, is at the top. That's defining everything that happens. Then it comes down into step 2, value stream mapping. We then go to step 3, workplace organization. Step 4, product flow. Step 5 says quick changeovers here, but it's actually process downtime as well. Step 6 is a pull system. Step 7 is balance the workload. Step 8 is developing standard work. Step 9 is continuous improvement. Step 10 is the lean supply chain. Some of them may seem like they're out of the step, but when you look at the model, it's this way for a reason. If you look at the 3 yellow-colored ellipses, you'll actually see that that's about improving process flow. And when you go over to the other side with the lavender or magenta color, that's actually process velocity that you're trying to improve through those 3 actions. So all of these things connect together, and then they feed down into the bottom into the quality, cost, and delivery metrics. And then it asks the question, did customer satisfaction improve? If it's yes, then you identify the next breakthrough, start from the top again, work all the way through, and do whatever it is that you need to do to improve that process to get through that next level of breakthrough. If the answer is no, the customer wasn't satisfied and it didn't improve, then we have to go into problem solving and then look at the identification of the root cause and then develop countermeasures, which will then be fed back up to the top. We update the strategy and then start the process again to understand where the failure was. So this is really a comprehensive look at how the 10 steps all fit together within the training and implementation model. And that brings us back to the implementation roadmap again. So the Radical Lean Implementation Roadmap, 3 phases: training of the change agents, training of the management team and the improvement teams, and then they all work together to develop and implement the system to support the 10-step model. 3 phases. First phase is about core team training. We use the online training and certification program for that, which is available through Radical Transformation. Phase 2 is about designing and implementing the lean infrastructure, training the management team to understand what they're saying and what they're doing and why they're doing what they're doing and how they do it is important. Same with improvement teams. They need to understand how the tools work together. Again, we use the online training and certification and then coaching. And the change agents in phase 1 will become the coaches for the entire organization. In phase 3, we go through the implementation process, by which time we've developed insight through the metrics that we're measuring and tracking. And then we develop a strategy, a strategic plan. We execute that plan. And then we evaluate the plan to see if it worked and achieved the goals that we were trying to achieve. Coaching, implementing, monitoring, all these things are important. So that's the implementation roadmap. So this is the end of part 3 of the presentation. If you have any questions or you would like to contact me directly, you can see there's my phone number, and also you can get access through to me or any of the team that I have here in Radical Transformation through the email there, or you can go directly to our website and start to look at the online training certifications that we have available. Primarily cover 3 areas: manufacturing, healthcare, and administration or office. Thank you very much for being part of this training session, and I hope you learned something. I'd love to hear your feedback. I always appreciate the feedback from anybody that's involved in our training sessions, and I look forward to seeing you sometime in the future. I wish you every success on your lean journey.